Welcome to the IdeaMastery podcast, where we explore the power of creativity, the human mind, and the topics of personal development. I'm thrilled to have my friend Ahmed here today. Ahmed is a talented multidisciplinary designer, writer, and problem-solving extraordinaire. So, welcome, Ahmed. So glad to have you here.
Hi, Duria. Thanks for having me. I'm also excited to have a conversation together.
Yeah. Um, can you tell us about what you do?
Okay, so I am a design. I call myself sometimes a design strategist, sometimes a multidisciplinary design. So, in a nutshell, as a design strategist, I solve problems for clients, help them with complex challenges, and drive innovation in areas of transformation, innovation, strategy, product development, continuous improvement in to meet the customer's needs and the business goals. So, this is in a nutshell what I do. And sometimes why I call myself a multidisciplinary designer, because I come from a UX design, a product design. So I understand user experience. I can design a product. I understand the user interface as well, and business and consultancy, like a bits of pieces of everything. So that's why the reason I call myself a multidisciplinary designer. Also, I do a design research, because in the design world you have these segments. You know, a design researcher, you have a UX designer, you have a UI designers, you have a business designer, you have a design strategist, but I kind of encompass most of the discipline.
What is it specifically called? Like
Strategist
design strategist, but it comes from like UX. Well, it's not UX. UX is like,
is a user experience design. Yes, UX is a user experience, and everything stemmed from design thinking. This is like the main method or methodology, where in a nutshell, as a high level understanding, where you approach a problem with empathy, you do a research with the impacted audience, and then you understand what's their problem, you define what's the problem, and then you analyze, and then this is where you reach a clarity stage, and you know how to move forward. You come up with the idea, you design a solution, and then you test it with the impacted users and get the feedback, and have like a continuous cycle of iterations until you reach your optimum solution or product.
so as you just gave me the description, I couldn't help but think that this is kind of very spiritual in a way because you're talking about like empathy, trying to figure out, trying to locate what the problem is and then trying to like develop solutions to fixing any problems. So,
Yeah, you have to have empathy. Otherwise, because if I didn't have empathy, I didn't put myself in your shoes and feel your struggle and experience what do you have a problem with, I wouldn't have that kind of, like, this is how I translate this. I wouldn't have this kind of full experience and full exposure of what you do and feel your real pains and struggles. So my mindset wouldn't go to the path or of fledged, like you wouldn't be like that much disciplined or that much serious about solving the problem, like you really want to solve this problem for this audience or community or for this individual. Because if you just don't approach that with empathy, you're just collecting, pain points, and then you're trying to just solve it as a project. You want to get it done and move on.
so it seems to me like whatever that you do, we can actually apply it to. It's not just about communities or companies or whatever. You can apply this system to anything. It's a problem solving system.
Pretty much that's it. You can apply it to everything. That's why I call it a creative system, because you have the fundamentals. You need to understand what are the fundamentals, what are the methods in approaching the problem. You know the toolkits, and then you back this with your curiosity, with your skills, with your creativity and knowledge and experience, and the sky is the limit. So you can develop your own methods on top of what you have. You can Like, this is what I call it. Like, you have the fundamentals, it's like an equation, and you can change those variables based on the scenario, based on the nature, based on how the future, like how you anticipate the future would look like. So you solve something according to the future.
Okay.
You can shape it the way you want it. It's like a doll. That's what I call it.
Because you can shape it any way you want it, it's difficult for me to like find a question right now. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this idea.
It's like you can call it a creative problem solving method. It's you can apply it in across any industry, and design thinking. It's been around, I think, since the 70s, but it's not widely adopted. Slowly but surely, it's getting adopted, widely adopted. But still, there is this I would say this is this like leadership in legacy companies. They don't buy in the design thinking. They're not into the approach because they look at the benefits and cost and what it can bring me. And it's very hard to sell this practice to legacy companies unless you have to change the language to resonate with them.
Do you have a little bit of information about design thinking, like how it started in the 70s? I mean, what happened for it to develop into its own field?
Not. I don't have a very, very deep history about it, but it started in the 70s. One of the how we call them, they call them design firms. So when I say design firm, that means it's a consultancy design. And when I say design, it doesn't necessarily mean colors and shapes and patterns. It's the way how you design the solution. That's what it really means. You have to design your thinking around the problem, understand everything. So there's this, I would say, the go-to design firm consultancy. It's called IDEO. I think, I'm not pretty much sure, it's one of the first practitioners of design thinking. And what it means is like you understand the user's problem and you meet that problem with a solution. And solution, it could be in a form of process, technology, or a service or a product. That's what it really it in a nutshell. And then, as we as things, starting to moving, and or as design thinking started to prove a benefit or bring value, like in the late 90s or the beginning of 2000, large tech firms like Google, Facebook, prominent consulting firms like Deloitte, Accenture. Like I have a link about this. There's a report. All these big companies from tech side and from the consultancy side, they have bought these design firms because they prove the value. They prove that they can create value to the customer or to their clients or to your own capabilities as a company. Because it's not always about you solving a problem for your customers or what you lack. Sometimes you have your internal capabilities that you have to improve as well. And the way to approach them is the best way, like, to use this design thinking.
As I'm trying to solve problems of my prospects or clients, this also feels like something that I need to. I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm trying to help my clients build communities, but there's a lot that I don't know. Each client is different. As I'm learning what I need to do, I need to have some sort of design thinking to help me establish like how I can establish some kind of solutions to. Say for someone who is interested in design thinking, where would you suggest them, like where would they start?
You can start by like going to YouTube, Google design thinking. Before you commit to buying a book or taking a course, understand. I think there is so many sources out there that really do pretty much a good job of explaining design thinking. Get familiar with the idea, with the concept, and then let it sink, understand, and then if you want to really practice it, there's like a few courses, like I think Coursera. I think there's this one. It's an old website called Design Association. I forgot, but they provide. You pay 50, $60 or $100 a year. They have unlimited courses around design thinking. There's IDEO, but it's just expensive. It's like a $700 a course to understand design thinking, where you can and get it for less, like for reasonable amount or for free, based on what type of learner are you are. And yeah, and there's a book. It's called Design of Everyday Life. This is like a very good book by Donald Norman. This was one of the first book I've read. Tells you about design, how things, how engineers create products without having, users in mind. It's very complicated products to use because they created these products. They understand them, but for the average user or for the public, it's not really easy to use. And it talks about how you have to have the signifiers when you open the door. These signs tells you it opens inward or outward. All these like design things. It's a very good book. Like it's about everyday life. The stove, how it's designed. Which one is, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, which plate for which, what I call it, a nozzle, or I don't know what you call it. Yeah, like the stove, like some stove are designed, their design is complicated. You don't know how to use it, which one is which, for which.
Right. Like,
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, it's a very cool book. It's called Design of Everyday Life. I think it's for Donald Norman. He's one of the first guys who coined the UX, user experience design. He coined the term UX design.
what's the other term that I keep getting confused with? There's UX and then there's UE,
I
right?
UI, user
UI.
interface.
Okay, okay, that's
User interface is, this is about the shapes, colors, fonts. It's the look and feel. UX is the experience. It's UX is more about thinking. In product, when you have to make an intuitive product. Like the this app, the web application for this camera that we use. All these buttons where they should be for the user. You don't have to use your mind. Where is this? Where is that? How should I do this? Everything should afford, I forgot. There's a term for that. I forgot it. Like they should afford how they can be used. So you don't have to go to a manual. How can I use this? Which button is, like, this is the UX design, is the flow of the product, or the functionality, like how it should flow intuitively as a functionality or as a use.
That's very interesting. That's definitely something that I want to at least go through. What got me interested in asking you is actually when I read your blog post, like it makes sense about, how we can solve problems, but at the same time there's this aspect of that, like this is something that I'm not familiar with, but I know I need to learn about it to help me to help me run my stuff, like run my business or whatever that I want to do in like a smoother way. And it also helps like my friends, prospects, and clients too in a way. So
Yeah,
interesting.
it will. I would say it will help you. Definitely help you, and it will enlight some blind spots, or enlight, or will give you an idea how to better approach something. Where should I start from? Like usually, in what I do, I usually start with the users. Like, who are the users? Who are the impacted? I need to understand, because you have to do understanding, because so many like consulting firms, some other companies that I've seen, for them understanding, it's not just, hey, what's your problem, you tell me 1 2 3, and then based on what you mentioned, I just should go and start a solution. You could have something that solve the problem, but not necessarily solve it like at 100%. You might solve it with so many issues, because now we're going to solve a problem, where at the present we don't know how the solution would look like in the future. We only anticipate it's going to be the perfect solution, because by default we're optimistic. But once we arrive to the future, our future becomes our present and the solution is delivered. This is when we see the issues. And the number, that's what I say, to people I work with. The number of issues determines your approach. So if you have so many, like the list, like a laundry list of issues, that means your approach at the beginning is not the right approach. If you have a few issues, that means like you're okay on the right path, because nobody can reach a future with 100% perfection, I would say. So it's just, you have to have a method that you reach the future with the least amount of, I say, cost, wasting resources, and issues. But I want to go back to how can you use it, because like I mentioned, the methodology of design thinking is, you have empathy, like in mindset you have to empathize when you approach a problem, and then you have to understand this problem. You start asking questions for yourself to understand what you're getting in, what you're getting yourself into. For example, you start asking questions like, who are the users, or like, you're focused on community. What type of community? What is the course that you're selling? What's the point of this course? What's the value they're getting? And you start asking all these questions, so you build your own understanding. And then once you finish that, then you use to the target audience, or they could be target audience or impacted audience. So you move to your prospects clients, I mean community, like your clients community, and probably you need 5 to 10 people. Usually the information will repeat itself, so you can have an interview with them, understand, let's say, each persona, their age, their demographic, what they're doing, what they're trying to achieve, what are the jobs or the tasks that they need to complete, what they're looking to achieve with this course or with this community, what they're looking to get out of it. So once you collect these informations, you'll see some common or repetitions. Like, if you interview me and I'll tell you something, and you interview the second person, he will repeat the same thing and add a new thing, and the third person, and so on. So you'll see repetition and new things as you go. Donald Norman, he says, sometimes you need 5 people is enough for your interviews. Some they say 6, some they say 10, some they want 30, based on the, again, you extend the number of people that you want to interview and talk to based on your budget, your time, and so on. Because if you have a limited time, you can't speak to 10 people. Let alone sometimes they don't have the time, and sometimes you have to reschedule. And not everybody is willing to sit and give you their time. So in the design world, companies pay for customers to sit an hour with them. They give them a gift card, they invite them, you know, like something as an incentive for them to sit an hour and share their experience and feedback. And then once you collect all that, what I do, I use a whiteboard. I build everything in a whiteboard. I start with a clear whiteboard. I start, building these information together. This is the questions that I ask, and I get their answers. I put them here. The information you got from each person, kind of you clean it up, put it in, I know, in a summary, the person, their goals, what they looking to achieve, what are their pain points, and so on. And I try to have them in the same place so I can see what everyone is saying rather than have them in the different sheets. And then I start making connections between all the information that I have, analyze it, make sense of it, and then this is when you reach clarity how to proceed.
That's beautiful. That's just beautiful. Especially when you talked about the whiteboard. That's like, I mean, that's literally having a second brain, right? Instead of us holding all the information in our own mind and plus other stuff that we have to worry about. We have like an external whiteboard that functions as our second brain that we can actually see what's going on and possibly move parts around that we need to.
Exactly,
That saves a
yes.
lot of energy. That
And
is
it's very hard to have it in your mind. It's like whiteboard, you visualize everything in front of you, like you mentioned, and then you see, you move parts, what makes connection with this one. You unlock new and insights or an understanding, and sometimes this will enable you to come up with the questions to uncover other blind spots. So once you have, I call it a puzzle. It's like you build your own puzzle. It's like you create your puzzles. It's not you have a puzzles and you have to put them together. You create the puzzles by talking to prospects, talking to customers, impacted users, from like everybody involved in this challenge or in this project. You collect information of everyone. This is how you create the puzzles, and now you put it together and you have a full understanding. You know exactly what are your impacts. You know exactly what is required to solve this. You know exactly what capabilities do you need. you uncover what you also, what are the priorities, because you can't always solve everything at once. What I learned from my previous manager is that you can boil the ocean, so you have to surface what you need to make, like what they say, like you have to bubble up or make it to the surface. What are our priorities today? We can't solve everything.
It seems to me the whiteboard is like the centerpiece, right? From which your solutions spring from
Yeah,
after you spend time with your client. Is that
yeah.
right?
Yeah, for me, yeah, yes, yeah. I love whiteboards. Everything I start building, every project I approach, I start with a whiteboard. Just I start putting information, putting what I understand, putting my analysis and everything, and I start making connections. And I just don't put them in a, like a text-based paragraphs, like, in shapes, squares, notes here, and color this, color that, make an arrow, make a connection. What's this? What's missing here? It's like you're building a map.
That's beautiful. That you know what I need to start doing that. I know you talked about you went into whiteboard a little the last time we connected, but what I've been doing is I've been just having these like little notes. They're in different color, but it's all just text. And it's not, and I don't even put these notes up on like a board or whatever where I can see like how they relate and how they contradict or whatever. But what you've just described seems like something that I really need to hop on.
And then that's what I say. Like companies, I don't know. It's just an idea. Like companies, as we progress into, let's say, more advanced AI, more automation, maybe more robotics, the only thing we will be left with value work. We have to create value. If you were like, you're not going to be like, so many people going to lose their admin work or these repetitive tasks that they do on a daily basis. So companies now, they should think of themselves as a whiteboard, because you have to solve a problem with innovative solution. And when I say innovative solution, people scare when they hear innovation. They think this is some high risk that they have to take. But innovation has so many forms. It could be process, just you improve a little process, you improve the product, the service, you tweak it here. Like, this is what it means. Innovation is like, it's not an invention, something that you invented that does not exist. It's fine if you have the courage and you're bold as a company or as a person to do that. But yeah, I noted, like, or observed many scale innovation. So as we progress, I think companies will move into, like, they become like a whiteboard. Everything that you have, like, you brainstorm as a team. This is happening in most of the tech companies, and it should be, or I guess it's going to be happening in those legacy companies. Otherwise, they're going to lose share of the market or stay behind.
We just had a glimpse of the future. This is really cool. Wow. This is very mind blowing for me. Like, I mean, this is obviously this is something to that has relevance with what I'm doing, but this is literally all new to me, and I'm very very grateful for being able to like talk to you about it. I'm
No,
glad
thank
I
you. You're
looked at your
welcome.
blog posts. Like, yeah, what got me interested is actually your X posts first, right? And then I saw
Mm.
that you started a blog, and
Yeah,
I started reading some of your articles. I was like, wait a minute, this stuff is really interesting. Like, I've never heard of this before. So
thank you. Yeah, I just started my journey in Onyx in the last couple of months, and also writing. I've always wanted to write. I know about writing. We talked about this. Remember when I shared my blog on Medium? I believe 2017, 18. Because this is when I learned. Because so I'll tell you something about X. I used to be a consumer of Twitter. I used to follow a lot of, good entrepreneurs, good software. So I've seen so many software writers or programmers or coders back in the days. They promote the notion of writing is the number one skill more than coding, because back in the days everybody's saying it's, technology. You have to be a coder to find a job to make good money. It's the best skill. Everybody is gonna hire a programmer and so on and so forth. So this is when I learned about writing, and it's the number one skill. Plus, I used to see on the other side, the number one skill is like another school of thought is uh, learn how to learn.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I used to follow a lot of good guys, but now I don't see them around anymore. I don't know. It's kind of when it turned to X, the algorithm, the crowd, things changed. I don't know. I feel like I'm more in a bubble. You like or you tweet or you follow someone because I went back to writing, like I mentioned. I think 2017, 18 started writing, and then I didn't continue my journey. And why did I go back to writing? Because I discovered is no matter how strong are you technically, you need soft skills like writing, communicating ideas, concise. So for me, I used to communicate ideas visually. It's like I have these complex ideas, and it's hard for me sometimes to convey the message to the audience. So I used to use the visualization techniques, which is I'm very good at. And then, but it's like, I wanna write. I wanna be able to communicate my ideas, my thoughts. If I want to make it far ahead, like in life. So yeah,
I totally relate to with you about the writing and being able to articulate our thoughts, ideas, well, plus emotions. For me, this part is very important because it just doesn't feel healthy to not be able to express in a way that we want to express things. We can express so much, but if it doesn't feel like others are understanding us, there's always this sense of burden. If it seems like that to me, so it's important to have that clarity.
yeah, you're totally right. I can relate as well. Like you feel, it's a joy. I felt when you write, probably like you said, you unload so many thoughts in your head, and then by writing, you slowly but surely things start to become clear. And what I noted also, when you write, you start connecting things between two different. Say you wrote about two topics, and then sometimes you find the connection between them, or you uncover a blind spot. Oh, you didn't see this from this angle now because you wrote about this from this. You added perspective about this topic from this angle, and the other topic from this angle. Sometimes you uncover another angle of a perspective, and that is an opportunity that will give you an idea to write about or add a knowledge and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So writing can also be like a tool inside of like UX, right?
Yeah, for a product, yeah, when you have a product, because any product, digital product, you have to do copywriting.
Gotcha.
Because yeah, you need to have, and so when in digital products, you have to have the what do you call it? So the copywriting. So the word or the call to action, it's clear. It does encourage the user to make action or move to the second page or provide an information, create content. Like all these copy, like also copywriting plays a key role in digital products. So you can take actions in and also build a habit, with the product. And also information architecture. You have to architect the information logically in the flow that really it makes sense or it tells a story.
It's funny how we're pretty much wired to understand understand things through stories. Everything else is so abstract without like the ability to express, which we as humans we express things through mainly language. Everything would seem so abstract without the grounding effect of language. At the same time, like language can be so limiting too, it feels like. Do you think you said you were doing designs also, right? Besides of like writing now. Which one do you think is better for self-expression? I mean, at least for you.
For me, I like solving a problem, like business challenges, business problems. I really, when I work on a project, I enjoy myself. I don't. This is when I don't feel like working because I have this urge, to building an understanding, understand what is what, who's doing what, what's the process here, where are the gaps. I enjoy that. Sometimes it could be annoying, or when when the stakeholders don't really collaborate for whatever the reason. But it's just with anything you have barriers, and you kind of just have to jump over the barrier, or avoid the barrier.
It seems to me as human beings, like we're also built, besides, we're built to understand things through stories, we're also built to solve problems because when we don't have that, like when we lack teamwork, when we lack opportunities of problem solving, it seems like that's where a lot of the issues come from.
Yeah, if we don't really understand these issues or what we require to solve, things can go wrong. And solving problem, at the end of the day, it's part of a creativity practice, and we all creative. It's just people say like anything. Like I used to say like, oh no, I will never write. It's not for me, in my younger days. But now I was like, okay, yeah, I should have learned this back in the days, or I should have, or probably schools weren't doing. There's no emphasis like in schools about writing. Like nobody would tell you writing. What's the benefit of writing? And if you just go back in history, all these scholars, all these philosophers, they used to be a writer. Like
That's
they write their thoughts, they write their experiments, they write their findings, they write their opinions and everything, their judgment.
That's so true. And like from what I remember, like in school when we do writing, usually in like, English class or literature, it's always like or research, right? Usually research paper. And they always want you to follow a certain format. And I feel like because I mean, when I was writing in school compared to what I write now is totally two different animals. I feel like free writing, or I call it brain dumping, different people call it differently, just having the ability to like write freely, write what's on our mind freely that without judgment or whatever. That's very important versus the school, how at least my in my own experience, the research paper where we're just, reading about other people's content and then pretty much regurgitating what other people said. So that's like two different, it's literally two different universe on writing.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, back like you mentioned, if you want to follow the like the school systems or the old system of writing, you have to be highly academic. You have to use, it's very sophisticated words. You have to follow the grammar, and at the end of the day, language is invented. You can invent your own.
That's true. We can invent our own, but we better find people that can understand that.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I like that about like the how the internet. It's like when it comes to writing, when you write on the internet, it's a different game. So you have to be concise, you have to be simple, you have to kind of tell a story, or you have to relate in your writing, or it should be a relevance or resonate with some of the audience or people out there. And you have to have a hook and all that. And that's thinking, pretty much thinking. So this is a challenge that I've been trying to learn and improve at, especially when it comes to hooks, a hook title. I'm not really perfect or that good enough, but I'm happy with my progress in writing, like overall. But I'm not happy as this is enough. But no, I'm also I'm assessing myself or evaluating myself every now and then. Okay, now is my focus more around the titles, a hook, and then a little bit in having bit being more specific in the body or inside the copy. Be a little bit specific, bring more analogies to make things simpler. I try to mix, relate things to the past, to the ancient times, and go through a rabbit hole for the reader, and all, even for myself. Like when I write these things, I write them for myself.
The type of online writing that I've been doing it because I mean, I think different platform might have like slightly different like community or
Mm.
expectations. For Medium, since I'm still kind of new to this, right? For Medium, I've just been writing mostly like 2 to 4 minute read articles, and they're very like, I don't want to say they're like copywriting type of writing, but they are because that's what keeps them on the page.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I don't get to go through what you said earlier, like a bunch of rabbit hole, like because I need to have like longer read time, right? But I guess it's a different type of writing. Like right now I'm trying to figure out, I sort of know what people like, certain people, and
Hmm.
that's the crowd that I'm feeding, at least on Medium. So, and I'm not sure if it's really good or not. Like people, like mostly people appreciate it. They say, they tell me they find value in whatever I write, and I guess whatever that's valuable is just a sense of value that people think. It's not so much about what the writer think, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I could write like I've had situations where I've spent a lot of time on an article where I thought, hey, I'm spending so much time and energy on everything on this article, and it doesn't get views or reads. And then sometimes many of the articles on Medium that I find, like, the quicker I write, I mean, I'll still edit and everything, but
Hmm.
the articles that has less edit, less overthinking actually perform better. So that's interesting, I think. I
I
wish I can. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead, finish.
Oh,
Yeah, you said.
I wish I can. I'm going to. I'm trying to link whatever I learn on Medium into like my business, right? Because right now it still feels like it's two different entities. But whatever skills I'm learning with different projects that I have, I guess eventually they will come together as they mature. I mean, does that
Yeah,
sound right
yeah,
to you?
yeah, yeah. But just like what areas of topics are you focused on? Is it like you write about, experiences, you write about ideas, or what type of topics that you write? Like, do you have a specific niche you write about? So this is we can know the connect where it can happen.
I do on Medium. I literally write what feeds the crowd. So I write
Mhm.
about my experience on Medium to try to help specifically new writers to help them gain more influence or views.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
the stuff that feeds. But so I guess that's the part that's training my copywriting mind. And then I also added my own like personal experience that's outside of Medium. So I have, even within one short article, say the article is only a 2 minute read out, you might see two or three niches in it. So I always have like a personal development tone because that's how, I mean, I don't mean to, but that's just how it comes out. So
Yeah,
whatever that I write, I actually really like that right now, having that personal development tone to it, or like some kind of like motivating inspiration, because like I don't want to like put depression on paper. You know what I'm saying? Like what, like no. Like whatever that I write needs to be helpful and inspiring or motivational because life can get really hard. So, I mean,
yeah, yeah, I agree. Motivation are pretty much needed, Yeah, so you help people how to gain an influence, how to get people to read their pieces. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much is linked to what you do in your other entity, which is like helping whatever entrepreneurs or people with their community to grow communities, scale or improve their community or their audience, right?
yep.
Yeah, there's some kind of connection there. Like as I think the principle is there, because you also, if you help people or you help me how to, get an influence, how to should I structure my writing, how I should fix my headlines, make it attractive, what areas I should write about. What mostly most people like like they say these eternal markets, the relationship, wealth, health, happiness, and all these four categories has a subtopics.
Right.
Everybody wants to have a good relationship with himself, with his surrounding, family, with the community, with with your neighborhood. You wanted to have a healthy lifestyle, healthy mind, healthy spirit, healthy body, and that also translates into sort of wealth. And also you want to have the actual wealth means, you'd be able to travel, do the things that you have on your bucket list, help others with money, because I see wealth or money, for me it's not happiness, it's power.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
And power can be misused. Like,
it can be misused,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
definitely. It's
I won't misuse
disastrous.
it. I won't misuse it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah, so this is my journey. I come from first business and accounting background. I mentioned, I shared the story where I wanted to be in the CPA. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I was young. Like I didn't have, like, I don't know, most kids or people in my age, back then, probably 16 or 15 or 12. People wanted to be something, a doctor, or they wanted to be like their parents. If your mom is a doctor, or if your mom is whatever, nurse, engineer, a lawyer, a businesswoman. Yeah, you wanted to follow your parents, or you have your own wishes. But I didn't have that at all. It's like but I always wanted to do something productive when I was young.
I have to say, like, I didn't really specifically know what I wanted neither. Like, I mean, it was kind of like I think there's also like if there's always like a vague idea. Like, just for some of us, it takes like longer to realize.
It took me, yeah, it took some time, and until I arrived to design, and now I discovered design, and then I know what I wanted to do, and then I'm starting this new journey. What I do now. I want to what I call this. I want to commercialize my skills. What it means now, if you work for someone, so you work for one company, so your skills are monopolized by one company as an employee or as an individual contributor. Now I want to commercialize my skills and sell them to as many companies as I can. And what I noted during my experience working for companies, legacy, it's both sides. It goes both sides. The company is kind of behind. They don't know what they're doing. How they everybody thinks is the future is like about being digital, but it's more than that. Digital is just the medium. Like the way to attract customers, the way to sell have changed. The way to promote yourself have changed. The way to solve problems, I always say, have changed. Life is not simple as it used to be when you had a business. You had a grocery store, you sell tomatoes. Now you have a technology to sell your tomatoes. You have to understand, you have to analyze data, you have to come up with creative ideas to improve your skills, to compete, to win or retain customers. All that have changed. So I see there is stagnation like in both sides, like from the company side and from the employee side. Not to like to put the blame on anyone, but I see this as, for me, as an opportunity. Okay, I started a new strategy. New strategy is a design consultancy focused on discovery process, because discovery, it's a process end to end, where, like we mentioned, you understand the problem, approach it with empathy, you analyze, you capture information, use different tools to have to gain more understanding and uncover the gaps, like user map, service blueprint, user diagram. And then the limit, like I said, the sky is the limit. You can develop your own approaches, like based on the scenario of the project. And then you come up with ideas, so you get clarity, you can know what they need. And then the discovery service, what I call the discovery process, it's a process where it guides you to the future. It gives you the guide based on the discoveries that we made, or the assessment and the investigation that we made. It's like The difference between the other approaches is a human centered and system centered. You have to understand the system and the humans within that environment, ins and out.
That's
And
beautiful.
then within that, this is how you come up with this, you deliver a solution. So this is what I want to focus on, that discovery. So, help clients understand what they need, what's the capabilities that they need, what process that they need to improve, what skills that they need to empower for their employees, or what improvements that they need to provide for their customers. I'm not going to go into an implementation, which is the delivery service. I want to focus on this because this is the main part of the whole process. Because you understand the problem, then you go and solve it. When you solve it, this is the execution. But what happens is most companies or consultancies, they understand the problem, and then right away they don't spend so much time. They deliver. This is where they have so many issues. So they increase now the budget, they increase the resources, they increase the time, and I think this is how they approach it, like changing technology be and everything. They think it's a technology or it's a tool, like, but there is a human element into it that they don't see or they don't use as a lens. Like, you need to understand why I am having this problem. It might be emotional, it might be a struggle, whatever. Like, you have to get to know the people who have the problem, because in my experience, some of the problems were just communication. They weren't tools, they weren't a technology. You just needed a process that enforce the flow of tasks in communication between different parties. That's it. If there is no communication, the best tool will not solve the problem.
One thing I found interesting is that, like, I actually wrote a very, very short article about this, like, yesterday or 2 days ago, about how you would think, like, with AI and all this, is it's it, we when we think of AI, usually we think of how AI is taking humanity away from humans, right? In a way, like, because it's gonna, like, take away a lot of jobs. But at the same time, because AI is increasingly covering certain aspects of our workflow, the core, what's important to all these systems, which is the humanistic side of it, is actually coming to the forefront. So in my article, I was trying to say that, AI is actually helping us become more human rather than making us less humanistic, because stuff like, design thinking, all this is actually, I mean, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's actually getting more popular now because of demand, right?
It gained popularity, but not as much in the, I would say, legacy companies.
Hmm. Do you think it's going to change, like, with AI, like, we have to switch to that. Like, we're switching to AI to take care of a lot of stuff. So eventually, when all this other non-human system stuff that they've been thinking, that's the cause of their issue, are taken care of by AI, what's left is going to be very obvious to these so-called legacy company, right? I mean, like, I'm just making a wild guess here, or hoping that that's what's gonna happen.
I think some of them will, if you have, based on the nature of your business, some they can still continue making it meet their clients' needs or customers' needs, but they might lose customers. Because let's say, because I hear this a lot. Oh, like, I used to work for a retail company, a grocery big retail company. We're not technology company. This is, I was like, but the things change. You have to think of yourself as a technology company at your back end. I know you're selling tomato and potato, but there's other competitors who sells online. There's other competitors who, there's other companies that deliver these services for you. There is, data that you need to understand. What is your most bought items? You need to know how to improve your service, so on and so forth. Like, this is a very big industry. So For those who thinks like I don't need this, I'm fine like this based on the nature of the business. Some they will still be alive, but they might lose, I think, share of the market, and some they might just go outside. They're gonna lose their business, stay behind. That's it. Like BlackBerry back in the days, BlackBerry went out of the market when iPhone came in to play, because then really like Steve Jobs knew what is the kind of phone that you need. You don't need the keyboard, you need more simplicity, you need better design, you need better user experience, and so on and so forth. They did not want to listen to the market. They kept, they kind of, they were like kind of stubborn, like their leadership. They know what they're doing, and they're out of business now.
That's
And so
true.
many. Yeah.
That's true. Like now that you talked about BlackBerry, they went out really quickly. It's like overnight. It felt like it. They were like, Obama's using BlackBerry, and that's the only
Yeah.
thing he was using. And suddenly, no one's using BlackBerry anymore.
Yeah. Because they don't want to listen. They don't want to listen to the market. This is when you have a stubborn mind. Like for me, like there is no more, no less than that. Like you're just stubborn. You don't want to listen.
Right.
'Cause, like even in design, like when like you hear other people talk about design your life, motivational speakers, self improvement, like Tony Robinson. These like if you know the word design, it's so powerful. They don't say the plan your life, design your life. And people when they hear that, I don't know if they're paying attention, but they don't perceive design as colors in that way or shapes. But in what I do, when you say we use design, they really don't perceive it. They just I believe they see design as something like design in business. This is colors and shapes and something very soft. And leadership, they come from let's say they have this let's call it the Wall Street mentality, or we're wolf, and you're bringing something too soft to the plate. So what is this thing gonna do for us? It's very hard to get a buy-in from leadership, especially those who are stagnating in in their past, or they're just believe in their own formulas. You can bring a new formula to the table and tell them how this is how it works and this is how it can add value. So there's two things to this, or generally speaking, like we need to talk about AI or how things are going to go in the future. It's either whatever, like it's not doesn't. I'm just using this as an example here. It's either the leadership, they're like stubborn, and or the second thing is like those who sell their services and how to do new things. It's either they need to change their pitch, something that resonates with the leadership. So I can't speak about design like technically because nobody would understand that and what's the value. But you have to change your pitch, how it can reduce cost, how it can increase benefits, how can you reach your goal in the most efficient way, how you can meet your needs. When you talk about cost and goals and strategy, something that resonates with them, they would listen, and some they would listen and they just don't want, like they listen but still they don't buy it.
Wow.
You convince them in the moment but they still don't buy it. I don't know, it's just a human nature. Maybe you're when you're in a leadership role, maybe some they don't like to be told what to do. I
Or
have no
be
idea, there is, I think, so many aspects to this, but at the end you either lose business, you either lose a chunk of the market, or you either go with the wave, because
so true.
they say change is automatic. You can't stop change.
Right.
If I don't want to change, somebody else will bring a new change because you're not happy with this product, you're not happy with your life, you're not happy with your service. So you have the ambition and the intention to change this thing that you're not happy with, and you go with it and compete in the market.
Definitely something that I would like to look into and actually study more and apply these into my business and personal development, because I feel like the pattern of this design thinking you can apply it to everything.
Yeah, like I have data when I wrote an article when I start first writing about creativity, and it's gonna be like in demand. There's this data that I found in Canada. uh, the sectors, let's say the health sector, educational sector, the manufacturing sector, they require creativity, like people with this creativity role, like the creativity, like it's increasing in demand year over year. Like it shows you in certain sectors. I'll try to find it and send it out to you. So when you mention creativity, it's not art. Art is creative, but creativity broadly is not only just art. Oh, creative thing. It's not art. It's creative how you do things, how you maybe how you write. You convince me. Or maybe how you talk, or how you speak, or how you present. Like your creativity in everything we do. Creative with your own style, your clothing. Your outfit, your hair. Like it's creativity and design, and these are like two, what they call them, two faces for the same coin, or two sides for the same coin.
This is extremely enlightening for me. This is thank you so
No
much. This is
problem. No,
yeah. I'm
I
so
hope. Yeah.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Like, really, I don't know why I didn't. I mean, I didn't have the need before to actually have a bunch of different social media accounts and actually connect with people. But now that I have this like new business that I'm trying to build. Like, I have to talk to people and like, well, it's not that I really like enjoy talking to people, and it seemed like I have forgotten how much I enjoy talking and connecting with other people. But just this journey that I've like, just this journey alone, having a somewhat of a direction, it opens me up to so many different points of views that if I boil these points of view down, they all kind of have like a similar pattern. And I feel like this is the pattern that's pointing me towards the right direction. That's going to thrust me further into the direction that I want to go. So this is priceless. This is amazing.
Yeah, because as you go and as you connect with people, you, like, for myself as well, I uncover new things. I'm not really so I met the guy the other day, or like a few months ago, on Twitter. He lives in Toronto. We've met. We had a meetup. He does meetups. Yesterday I connected with him for 20 minutes chat regarding certain topic to understand. He's a developer. So that conversation, 10 minutes conversation, like uncovered some ideas for me how to approach things, or how to where to look for things, or where should I have some of my focus. Like, we learn, because I don't know everything. I do my best to improve, myself, whether it comes to the skills, technical skills, soft skills, knowledge, a little bit of entertaining here and there, and with each other we kind of, like, we complete each other as a puzzle. I learn something from you, you learn something from me. Our conversation might I always say uncover blind spots for me or for yourself, in terms of perspective, ideas. Like, also last week I spoke to a friend who lives in Ottawa. So he works in, like, a nonprofit, and I was, like, telling him about this new strategy, discovery consulting and focus. I was um my mind is to focus on the health sector, because I know the health sector, it has a lot of legacy systems and requires a lot of innovation, or creativity to solve problems. To sometimes you need a different mindset in the game. When you're much like you're a doctor, and or you work in the health sector, sometimes you can think of the solution. Not that you don't have the capacity, but just you're busy with your own work, with your life. So sometimes it's very hard for you to give that space. You need another mindset to help you. Anyways, so he was telling me about, how about you start a podcast, and you interview, try to reach out to people, let's say in health, you know, on LinkedIn, and have 1 hour conversation to understand the problems. This is a way. I like the suggestion. This is a way to know what are the pain points, and now you create a content or an email and target them with these pain points, because you had them as a guest. So I like the idea.
I like how you just put it too. I don't think I went that far with it, but thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
So it was a great idea, actually, to collect pain points and understand the issues in any sector. That I like the ideas, like any sector now. and people would love to talk about what they have done, what they have tried, where did they fail, and it's nice to share their like you as a person. It's nice, and you feel good about sharing your journey. Doesn't matter where you are in this journey.
That's so
Yeah.
true. Well, I want to say thank you again for agreeing to do this with me. This is more than what I expected. I'm extremely happy right now. I don't know what else to say.
No, 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 no. Thank you as well for also for like inviting me and thinking of me to have me, like to share and have a conversation. It's really interesting, and I really like it. And hopefully, we do this again in the future.
Yeah, we can if you want. Do you want to share with us your like company info or anything like that? I mean,
Yeah, it's Neo Strategy, NEO Strategy, STRAJ, yeah, TEJ E.com. So strategy instead of a GJ.
okay. And I will include it in the description box below.
I
So,
can send it to you here, or maybe it's better.
okay.
So my goal is to help as many underserved companies, solve their problems. Those who doesn't understand change or unaware of change or aware of change, but they don't know how to go about it. And the other goal, like my secondary goal, is to help people be creative problem solvers. But this is the second goal. I want to focus more in companies, and then I want to move to the second part of my goal, which is helping as much as I can, for people who are interested in being creative problem solvers.
Sounds good. Um, I'm going to. I'll message you on Twitter about the name of the book again, too. That way I can leave a link to for the UX introduction to UX book. So
It's a design in general, but yeah, I can not a UX. It's a
okay,
general design. It teaches you just it gives you an idea what is the design discipline. So once it's very anybody can read it. It's not complex. It's not technical. Like it's. I think everybody should read this book because it's about design. Like, life is about design, not about planning. Like they say, planning is surface level. Design, you go deep, and you know what works. You connect this step and what you have to do under this step, and the next step, what is the right step, and so on and so forth.
that's beautiful. I think I'm gonna start replacing the word plan in my own vocabulary with design and actually, think of what the difference of design and planning are and
Yeah, plan
implement the
just
design part.
yeah, just plan for events.
Yeah, that's it. plan,
Yeah.
plan for events. That's it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Design my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Design business, design life, building, design. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us and sharing your insights on design thinking and creativity and life and how to solve problems. So
Thanks a lot for having me, Diraya, and I appreciate it, and it was a really good conversation.
I agree.